What's up guys, RaincloudGaming here. It's 1:24 AM on a rather chilly spring evening in the boonies of Tokyo, and I've got a hankering to do something a little bit old-fashioned. Some of you may have seen last week I uploaded a Pacifism run for the first time in ages, and I thought this was a pretty interesting run, and I thought I'd seize the advantage to take an interesting run and do something I haven't done for a long while, which is put together commentary slash analysis of the run. Kind of way I did for a few other players way back. I haven't really done it that much for myself. I mean, I've done commentaries generally over gameplay before, but not many where I've really paused the game, slowed it down, and kind of commented on what's happening as I see it. And I thought this was a pretty interesting run, as I say. It was only 5.2 billion, so it's not one of my biggest runs, but kind of interesting. So let's give it a go. So as you can see, this run is coming off the back of a 2 billion score. This was one of those very strange sessions. I was playing quite late at night when I was either hitting a very low score or I was hitting a billion or more. And I was playing inconsistently, but because I was having a chance to play for quite a while, I was sort of getting into it and I was enjoying it. I felt like if I could just keep things together, I was maybe due a decent score. I felt like I was seeing the gates very clearly and moving quite well. And really, I think this run was characterized by two distinct kind of phases. In the first phase, I was playing my preferred style, where I'm being very careful about how I approach the gates. I'm trying to use each one to its maximum capacity. If you want to see a really good example of that, then check out any of Concluded Fever's recent pacifism runs. There's a guy who's bearing down remorselessly on the top 10 at least, and I was really blown away by his use of gates and his remarkable geom collection. But yeah, in this one, almost the first 2 billion or so, I was doing pretty well at being choosy with gates, with not wasting the geom. Like I say, I feel like I was moving around the gates well, manipulating the blues, just not too showily. Like, just I seemed to be seeing it well, and things were going my way, which would change quite drastically later on. So you can see I'm at 109 million here. My geom is 2,600. That's pretty standard to good kind of geom collection rate for me. And there's such a nice flow to it right now. Like when I'm playing like this, I feel like there's nothing going to stop me getting to a billion. One gate just leads so naturally to the next. I feel like I've got so many options, and if that's the case, it's not because it's just happening like that automatically. It means that I must be playing well. I must be moving in such a way that options are being presented to me. I'm keeping my options open, not committing to one direction or another. I'm waiting late to hit the gates, generally. And this is what I mean about the good geom collection here. I'm at 499 million score, and I'm about to hit 5,000 in geom. I'm always very happy if my geom and my score kind of keep pace with each other up to this stage. And that's what we're doing. And one thing I want to really focus on in this commentary is just looking at the nature of the cloud there of blues. Because when you get into the billion stage, I think the most terrifying thing is when the cloud of blues has a white hot center, which means that it's so dense with enemies, moving at different speeds, doing different things, that I at least tend to lose my form a bit and start to panic. Well, if you can see gaps in the cloud like you can here for that bottom left hand one, it means you don't need to worry, I think. It means the blues aren't too packed together. They're not about to take on tremendous speeds or start slowing down the frame rate of the game or anything. They're handleable. With just a couple of gates you can destroy the whole thing probably. So I'm pretty happy if at 500 million, and really as late as possible, the clouds look like this kind of way. And I should say now, before I get carried away with seeing other things in the run, so if the first stage of this run was characterized by good gate work and solid geom collection, the second stage is much more escape based. which is fine. Which I will, if it gets me a high score, then I will take it. But it's not my normal style. It's more what happens when I start to lose my way a bit. And the reason there are these two different phases, I think, is because in the first phase, when I make a mistake, I manage to rectify it with a couple of really good moments. And in the second phase, when I'm presented the chance to rectify previous mistakes, I don't take it. And that is what then leads to a bigger overall change in my playstyle. But hopefully that'll make more sense as the run proceeds. So take out that cloud with minimum of fuss, and things still looking very comfortable. But here comes the first sort of mini mistake that I think I made in this run. So I went to clear out some gates there just because I had the chance to go to the side. I may as well do so. But then I got a bit panicky, and rather than stay with those gates there and finish the job with detonating, with destroying this cloud, instead I flew to the left and just went a little longer than I like to without detonating any gates. Which just means it lets the blues gather some momentum and starts to drag them out and sort of spread out with the cloud a bit more than I like, and it starts taking up a bit more room and just makes me feel a bit more concerned. So now it's in my head that I've made a little mistake. I want to keep suppressing the blues as much as I can, so I should try and do something good if I can, just to keep things comfortable for as long as I can. And so now I've got this opportunity here to really make a big decision. Do I detonate this gate and then fly away to the right? If I do that, then I'm doing the same thing again. I'm inflicting a bit of damage, but then I'm getting out of there. I'm losing out on the geome. I'm letting the cloud spread out, and it's just, I'm starting to give the momentum to the blues. I'm not being active anymore. Or do I fly into that dangerous spawn area and use those 3 gates to try and take out this whole damn pack of blues and then bring the momentum back to my side? And if I can do that, if I can do the second one, then I think it would certainly, it's a risk, it's a big risk. But at this stage, 769 million, I'll get back to this stage quite easily later on in this session. So it's a risk that's probably worth taking. And that's what I did. Let's see how that unfolds. So I take the more difficult, risky option, and you see that first gate that I hit, I'm a little bit panicked because I don't let it go deep into the cloud before detonating it. But then that panic is somewhat justified because then the dreaded spawn comes. And I've got enough time to still get through those 2 gates, inflict some decent damage on the cloud, and then get through the spawn. There's still a little sort of white hotness to the center of the cloud, so it's not taking the problem all away, but I feel like it's put me back level again. I'm back where I want to be. I've suppressed the blues a little bit, and now I can get on with the rest of the run, having kind of equalized that situation. So now you can kind of see the relief in my play that now I'm through that difficult point. I'm moving quite freely from gate to gate. I could be hitting these gates a little bit deeper, I suppose, but I feel like my movement is quite good. And my geome, I'm very happy with at this point. 6,900 odd, just at the 1 billion stage. If I'm around 7,000, I feel like my geome is good. You can become too preoccupied with geome, especially at this stage, I think. I've rarely hit a massive score with a really, really inflated geome. I guess because it probably indicates that I'm not hitting enough gates. I'm being very choosy with my gates, but I'm not hitting many of them. So perhaps even though I'm harvesting geome, I'm not actually reducing the number of blues on the screen sufficiently. But yeah, 7,000, I'm happy. So that was some nice gate work there, and yeah, I'll be feeling quite comfortable at this point. But now it gets a little problematic. I have to take that gate and then run. And once again, I've got in that situation where I've dragged the blues, I've let them build up, they've gotten white hot at the centre. Not catastrophically so, but now I've got all these gates around me. I need to do something smart with them to make up for that previous error. That's how I feel anyway. There was a strategic error there that allowed the blues to get a kind of foothold on me, and I need to deal with it. I think any good run that I've had in the past, there's always been a couple of moments where something like this happened. The gates, 1 or 2 gates have just, and here again, 1 or 2 gates do me a favour. They come together in nice ways and allow me to do things like this. So a series of nice sort of short combinations, 1-2 hits, where one gate allows me to get nearer to the blues before another gate allows me to do some decent damage. That kind of moment comes about. And my GM again is still pretty good, like 9,000 odd, and just over 9,000 at 2 billion. I'm happy with that. I feel like it's good enough to get me a decent score quickly, but not so big that it suggests I've let too many gates build up. And so on we go. I'm having to be a little bit patient at this point because the gates go slightly against me, but there are so many gates still left that I just know once, if I stay patient, I can string together some combos like that. I probably should hit those gates a little deeper, but this is nice. The gates go just right for me to let me go so deep into the pack. And now look at where the cloud's gone. There are gaps that you can see in the cloud. That means it's not deep. It's not full of enemies at all. We're at the 3.5 billion stage, and I'm really under no great pressure from the blues. There are no big scary clouds on the horizon, and that's why I'm all more frustrated by what happens next. So here again I've got a decision that's quite similar to the previous one in the corner that I pointed out. Do I take one of those gates, or none even, to the right, and then fly away to the left to safety, or do I see this as another possible defining moment in the run and really just get in those gates and stay amongst them? Now I feel like that's what I need to do at this point. I should take the latter option, because I get the feeling maybe the Silver Lord, for example, might disagree with me, but with my style, I think I'm not going to get to the big scores without taking on this kind of chance. It's just not in my style to be able to hold my nerve and chip away and escape from screen-filling clouds the way someone like him can. So if I'm here, 3.5 billion, yeah, it's a promising score, but it's not for me, session defining. I should take this risk, because even if the spawn happens here, if I take those two bottom gates that are forming kind of a triangle against the bottom of the screen, if I take them and then move up along the side of the screen, there are enough gates there for me to stand my ground. If I just take those gates slowly, one by one, it doesn't matter if there's a spawn. I'll be able to punch a hole in it and then escape again. And by doing this, I'll stay on the front foot. I'll keep attacking. I won't let the blues get a chance to gain any kind of momentum against me. Instead, I see the score, I have got time in my hands to start worrying, and I think, look, you're playing well here, you're seeing the gates well, don't do anything stupid. When of course, it's in my nature to do the stupid. It's doing stupid things that's got me here in the first place. So instead I don't go to the right into the spawn where I belong. I go to the left and kind of just hoping there are some nice gate combinations up there that will allow me to rectify this situation and get back on an even kill. Now unfortunately there are actually no such combinations waiting for me, and now for the first time we can see the cloud is getting big and I'm having to play runaway a little bit. It's got this white heart core to it. This was a nice combination, but still I'm having to run away from the spawn. I'm from several spawns in fact. The gates are trying to help me out, but there just aren't enough of them for me to really do any big damage, and here's where I die that horrible death. And let's look at that one more time. So I don't think I did a whole lot wrong here. I saw the danger approaching. I could have gone to the left here, but I was kind of confident that gate would move up as it turned and it would be perfect to really do damage on that cloud. But instead it stayed pinned to the ground, and once I chose to go right, then there was no way I was going to survive this. Now I don't want to give the impression that that one moment sealed my fate when I decided not to take on that situation in the right and instead went to the left, because of course I survived a good while longer there, and if I'd made it under that gate then I would have got a nice hit on that cloud, and then who knows what comes next. But the thing is, if I had taken on that gate heavy situation in the bottom right corner, then everything else that happened afterwards would have been different. I wouldn't have been under such pressure from the clouds, and then that lovely mess of gates that I went up towards later I would have used perhaps more effectively. so I probably wouldn't have ended up down in the under pressure from the spawn and the blues towards the end, and wouldn't have to bank on the fortuitous movement of the gate to survive. Of course, that's a lot of would-be's, maybes, and ifs. Who perhaps if I had gone into that corner, I would have died in the spawn at 3.5 billion, thinking, why on earth did I take that silly risk? You just never know in pacifism. But I just thought that was interesting. Like, of course, this mindset doesn't help if you're still playing the run, thinking, "Oh man, that's a chance there. Why didn't I take it?" You've got to be focused on the moment and not thinking like that. And unfortunately, as soon as I'd left that chance behind, I was thinking, I'm going to look back on that and pay for it. So that's too bad. But it's been a while since I've had a run like this, so yeah, it's kind of natural to feel a bit of regret when you let a good chance go by. Especially because in my biggest runs, there's always a couple of moments like that where I can say that really pushed me on to get ahead of the blues, stop them every time they try and attack me. I've done something risky to push them back, or something lucky with the spawn of the gates to stop them really attacking me. Yeah. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hopefully more old school pacifism runs coming soon. I've also had an idea. Well, I haven't had an idea. I'm going to contribute to somebody else's idea that I saw on YouTube a while ago for a new Geometry Wars video, not necessarily pacifism. So hopefully more gameplay, more commentaries coming soon. Anyhow, it's now 2:06. I'm going to say good night to you all. You guys take it easy.